Good morning or good afternoon if you're in the Midwest. This isn't my usual day. I don't usually go live on Tuesday, and I am in a conference between Wednesday. Normally I go live on Wednesday. So here I am on Tuesday coming at you. And I want to talk. Today is sometimes I love looking at what is the national day today? And I do that and I look at how can I take some of those ideas and incorporate them into either leadership development, self-development, coaching, helping people stress less, work less, so that they are healthier and happier and more joyful and actually feel the great, wonderful things that are available to us in life. So why today? What is today then? Today is National Plant a Flower Day. Now, not sure where this came, because I don't think people are planting flowers in the Midwest in March, because it could still freeze, and the ground is probably still frozen, maybe the top layer from all the rain we've had, but generally oftentimes we get snow in March and in April. So not sure who originated this. I didn't look that deep, but I do want to share with you that it bring up for me what National Plant a Flower Day brought up for me is the idea that I heard from Kelly Clements at a live event last August. And she talked about fertile listening. Goes beyond active listening and really fertile listening. How can you be fertile ground for the people that you are in meetings with? How can you really listen and take their ideas and add fertilizer, add, really awesome soil, add water to that idea, because that's really how great ideas are born. If you're not really listening to other people, why is this important? Because if you're not really listening, if you're listening with the intent of, this is really stupid, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard, I can't believe they're even bringing this up, where did they get this wacky ass idea? You're not going to be fertile ground for that idea. You're not going to be able to either grow that idea, or, in some cases, it's like, that's an interesting comment, little out in left field. And if you don't listen to them, first of all, they're going to shut down. You don't listen to people long enough and they shut down. And they were hired into that company for a reason. They have genius to offer. They have some level of genius to offer to the team. And you're disrespecting that person, the group, and their idea may very well not be a great idea. And if you can be fertile ground and be curious and open-minded, then you can help that idea become something maybe completely different, or that idea is necessary in order to say, you know what, that's interesting. And what about this? And what about this? Which is kind of how I work. That's how I tend to, get some of my greatest, biggest ideas, is by building off of other people or bouncing off of other people. So you can either build off that idea and say, that's okay. And what if we added this? And what if we looked over here? Sometimes I'm going to use an analogy. A photographer, a woman that, in fact, her birthday was just yesterday, and she passed away in 2020, maybe 2021. And one of the things she taught me was, when you're, out taking pictures, we used photography on several retreats I was on with her. And when you're looking at something and taking a picture of something you think is absolutely amazing, after you take that picture, turn around. And what's behind you? Because often we're so focused on one thing that we don't see what's behind us. And so this is the idea of what's behind that idea, what's on the other side of it. And if you don't listen, if you don't allow that idea to land on fertile soil, if it is ridiculed and rebuffed and made fun of, or just completely dismissed, then you're missing out on corporate genius, on thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that were spent bringing this person into the organization. And, part of the other thing about that is that sometimes you're going to be working with people who are like me. And I won't go into all the things about it, but it's got to do with your preferences and your preferences for how you gather and how you process information and how you make decisions. With everyone, we introvert one of these and we extrovert one of these. So I'll give you an example. My husband processes things internally and he makes his decisions externally, verbally. He will go and research all sorts of things, won't say a word to me, and then one day out on the deck after we bought our house says to me, we're buying a bulldozer. Now we have 9 acres, so it's not completely out of the question or insane. I thought he was insane. I'm like, what do you mean? No, we are not buying a bulldozer. And, he looks at it as, what do you think? I'm an idiot? Did you not think I went and researched all this stuff? But he never says anything about it because he processes it all internally. Then he makes a decision. And so we've learned that I ask him questions and I'm like, just humor me because I need to process this verbally before we go ahead and spend $9,000 on a bulldozer. And we did that and we bought a bulldozer. It made complete sense. And I was really taken aback. I was like, no, we are not buying a bulldozer. That's absolutely insane, And so when we process things differently, everybody needs different opportunities to process. And if somebody's coming out and just making the decision, you've got other people who need to process verbally. So you've got to take that into consideration as you're going through and doing things in your work, because people who need to process verbally, like me, I need to ask questions. I need to throw out ideas. I need to just kind of think out loud. People will say talk out loud, but when you're talking out loud usually, unless you're just mouthing the words. But think out loud. I need to think out loud. I need to process verbally. And then all of a sudden, I've got it. I know exactly what needs to happen. I can see things more clearly. And when you cut people off like that, you're not allowing them the space and the time to get to the great idea that's in their head. Okay. Now, I'm going to share very quickly, here's the ways that you can, and I'll put these in some posts later this week, but here's some ways that you can build your fertile ground to become fertile ground for other people's ideas. One is being open-minded and curious. Get curious before you get furious. A great leadership principle that Jim DeGedlo, one of my former managers way back in the early 2000s, said to me, how could this be true? How might this work? Why is this important for them to share? Active listening, a little bit different than fertile listening or fertile ground, but really being engaged and listening, not thinking about what you're going to say next, not really not reacting, but really being prepared to respond to what they're saying, to really grok, to really get what they're saying. Practice some emotional intelligence. Really be self-aware of what your triggers are, what other people's triggers are. I sometimes would get very agitated in a meeting if one of my coworkers was sort of attacked, and I would become that mama bear in the meeting. And I reacted, and I got better at, figuring out the right way to respond in those situations. But it's not always, having those skills of really reading the room, of being able to catch someone's attention with your eyes, and maybe, a little nonverbal that takes things down a bit. You want to encourage diversity and inclusivity, because not everybody's thoughts go on the same train as yours. We all have so many different ways of thinking, so many different ways of processing, so many different perspectives and job backgrounds that we're all going to bring something a little different. And I had a friend back when I worked at the Chicago Tribune, And she had been on the diversity team way back then. That was in 1990 to 94. And she was on the diversity team. And she always brought up, and she said, Dottie, I'm doing this because of you. She said, I always bring up, we're not just talking about diversity in terms of people's race, people's, ethnic backgrounds, people's religion, people's gender identity. What about diversity in how people think? Because she said you were always shot down for how you thought, but you thought differently than other people, and we needed that. People who think differently should be on the team. It might not always be the right way, and it's going to challenge you to make sure that the direction you're going in is the right direction. And then just really make sure that you're investing in your own growth, your own well-being, and that you're really learning and doing self-reflection and taking care of yourself. Because when you're in burnout, when you're stressed out, this goes offline. All that emotional intelligence, all that inclusivity and diversity, all of that knowledge about and wisdom about active listening and open-mindedness and curiosity goes out the freaking window. Because our reptilian brain is in reaction mode. And how we normally react, whatever's our habitual pattern of reaction is what's going to come out. And so I'm going to also then later in the week, so tune in later. I'm not going to go live, but I'm going to share on one of my posts some really creative ways to become fertile ground for your own ideas and for others' ideas. And so tune in later this week. You'll see some posts about a wonder wall or idea exchange luncheons and mindful movement sessions, which I absolutely love that idea because that's how I've come up with some of my greatest ideas. And then a few others. So I'll share some others, or I'll wait till next week, but probably put them in a post this week. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. If you've listened to this after the fact, put replay in the comments and just let me know what your favorite part was. And I look forward to talking with you next week. We should be right on track for Wednesday at 9 a.m. next week. And I look forward to hearing from you. And final little note, and I'll put this in the comments as well, is if you are struggling with a lot of stress, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of just in that go, 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 and you can't stop, I've got 3 strategies to help you work less. Because work less is going to lower your stress. And if you're working evenings and you're working, most evenings, most weekends, that's going to burn you out if you're not already. So check the comments below for the link and let me know what you think. Take care and have a great week.